8:47 a.m. February 23, 1945. Iwo Jima. 22-year-old Private First Class Wilson Watson is completely alone on the crest of a ridge with a Browning automatic rifle with 220 rounds of ammunition and roughly 60 Japanese soldiers who have just realized he is standing above them. His platoon is pinned at the base of the slope below him. They cannot move forwards or backwards. Every second they stay still, the enemy digs in deeper. Watson had watched 2 men die trying to climb that ridge. Then he picked up his bar and went alone. What happens next would earn him the Medal of Honor, but only because he was still alive to receive it. John Moses Browning was already the most accomplished firearms designer in American history when the U.S. Army came to him with a problem in 1917. The problem wasn't complicated to describe. American infantry were dying in the open ground between the trenches in France, and nobody had a solution. The bolt-action rifle was accurate and reliable, but cycling the bolt after each shot meant a soldier had to stop, work the action, and fire again. Meanwhile, the heavy water-cooled machine guns that could provide automatic fire weighed over 100 pounds and required multiple men just to move them. Nobody was dragging a Maxim gun across no man's land. What Browning designed in response was the M1918 Browning automatic rifle. The gun was chambered in the standard .30-06 cartridge, weighed 16 pounds, and was feeding from a 20-round detachable box magazine. It was light enough for one man to carry at a full run and powerful enough to punch through the body panels of a 1930s automobile. The Army built an entire tactical doctrine around it called walking fire, which was the idea that a soldier could advance toward an enemy position while firing continuously from the hip, keeping defenders pinned and unable to aim while the assault line closed the distance. The fire selector was deliberately stiff, requiring real effort to switch modes, specifically engineered so a soldier couldn't accidentally flip to safe in the middle of a firefight. The war ended in November 1918, 6 weeks after the bar first saw combat, before it ever got the mass deployment Pershing had planned. Roughly 50,000 of them went into storage. By the time the Army updated the design for World War II, they had decided the bar should become something different. The M1918A2 eliminated semi-automatic fire entirely and added 2 full automatic rates of fire, a bipod, a flash suppressor, and a hinged shoulder rest. The original 16-pound rifle had grown to nearly 20. The Army wanted a light machine gun. What they got was something caught between 2 rolls, built for neither one completely. The critical failure was a decision the Army made in 1938 and again in 1939, when Belgian manufacturer FN offered a quick change barrel design that would have allowed gunners to swap out an overheated barrel in seconds. The Army turned it down both times because it wouldn't fit existing receivers. That refusal meant American soldiers would fight the entire war with a weapon incapable of sustained fire. Because a barrel that can't be swapped in combat is a barrel that eventually fails you. The British brain gun could swap barrels in under 10 seconds. The German MG-34 could do it in 5. The bar required something close to an armorer's table and a set of tools. But how come the Japanese were no match for this gun? Well, a standard Japanese infantry squad in the Pacific carried between 13 and 15 men. The entire unit was organized around a single crew-served light machine gun, either the Type 96 or the Type 99, both derived from the Czech ZB-26 design. 4 men operated the gun itself. The remaining soldiers existed primarily to protect those 4 men and carry their ammunition until the squad could close with the enemy for a bayonet charge. Japanese doctrine was built around suppression followed by hand-to-hand combat, because their tactical philosophy assumed that getting inside the enemy's firepower advantage was the only reliable way to neutralize it. Japan also never fielded a true squad automatic weapon, nothing like the bar that one soldier could carry and operate independently. The Type 100 submachine gun was the only one they ever produced in any quantity, and production was so limited that most Japanese soldiers never encountered one. Their infantry remained fundamentally dependent on a single concentrated point of automatic fire, surrounded by men whose primary job was to protect it. In 1943, a Marine division carried roughly 500 BARs. By 1945, that number had grown to over 860, which was a 70% increase driven entirely by what Marines learned watching what happened when automatic fire disappeared from a squad's line. The Japanese response in captured documents acknowledged that American divisions possessed 5 to 6 times the firepower of Japanese divisions when all supporting arms were included. Their answer was night attacks, surprise, and closing distance as fast as possible. But closing distance meant crossing ground covered by men with BARs. At the Tanaru River on Guadalcanal in August 1942, roughly 900 Japanese soldiers charged a sandbar position held by Marines with interlocking fields of automatic fire. By morning, approximately 800 of them were dead against 44 Marines killed. On Saipan in July 1944, over 4,000 soldiers launched the largest banzai charge of the war, fighting for 12 continuous hours, climbing over their own dead to reach the American line. When it ended, more than 4,000 Japanese had been killed. Which brings us back to Wilson Watson on that ridge at Iwo Jima at 4:47 in the morning. The day before, he had charged a series of fortified pillboxes alone, firing into the openings and throwing grenades until they were clear. His platoon had advanced because of it. By the following morning, they were boxed in once more at the foot of a slope, the path ahead cut off entirely. Watson seized his bar, pushed through the hail of mortar rounds and machine gun fire, and planted himself upright on the crest. For 15 minutes, he fired from the hip into the Japanese position below him. He was shot 7 times. He took mortar fragments in the shoulder. He stayed on the crest and kept firing. When he finally came down and checked his magazines, he had 2 rounds left. 60 Japanese soldiers were dead. General Kuribayashi, commanding the Japanese garrison at Iwo Jima, had already issued orders explicitly prohibiting banzai charges before the battle began, calling them a waste of manpower. It was a complete reversal of the offensive doctrine that had defined Japanese infantry tactics for decades, and it happened because enough commanders had watched enough charges dissolve in front of American automatic weapons fire to understand that the math no longer worked in their favor. The bar remained in American service through Korea and into the early years of Vietnam, before the M60 finally replaced it in 1957. Nearly 4 decades after Browning built it for a war that ended before he could properly test it.